Okay, welcome to another Access Mentorship video. Here with me, I have Michael Lawrence, head instructor with Pro Goaltending, and also goalie coach out in the NLA in Switzerland with the club Lugano. So, Michael, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Matt. How you
All
doing?
right, so been wanting to get you on for a while. A big fan of a lot of the stuff that you've been doing, seeing it coming up in different spots, and you had a spotlight in Angle, which was really cool. Hoping you can talk to us a little bit today about framing and kind of what that means to you, and then how do you apply that with your goalies and kind of teaching and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. So I look at it. I look at it from a really basic standpoint immediately, which is it's just it's a, a a starting point in someone's stance. You know what I mean? And I feel like whenever I see guys, that come through the school, and I see it in pros, you'd be surprised. Is usually there can be some biomechanical issue inside of their stance, or inside of their frame, and inside of their frame, it's actually causing tension, and we are working with them to alleviate that tension and create. I want to be clear before I show any of these clips. You know, there's certain ways of doing these things where it doesn't have to be the same all over. There's different variations,
Mhm.
whether it's the way your stick blade lies, or where exactly how forward or backwards your hands are. But the framing stuff that we're discussing, a lot of it is really of just how do you make your body symmetric, and I think that's something that I'll definitely get into here.
Mhm.
But that symmetric approach takes away tension, and it makes you obviously more athletic to make a safe selection.
Okay, very cool. That's awesome. I mean, it's important, especially with younger goalies when they're reevaluating, different stances and how they move and that kind of thing. If you're really kind of getting down to the nitty gritty with the kinetics of the movement and human physiology. So definitely interested to kind of hear your perspective and kind of how you're breaking down the stances.
Hmm. So, okay, so you want me to take you guys through here?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so let me just go on. Okay. Okay. So my first clip here is it's Carey Price. Okay. Can you see this? Okay, Matt.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. So just here in this clip, you're going to see basically what I'm talking about. It's going to freeze in a second here, and you can see where his hands are right now. Okay, that is his hands. The gloves are symmetric right now, meaning you could draw a straight line, or even put a level on them, and you'd be almost very accurate. Um, Here you can see his blade is pretty flat. There's a lot of times where you actually see Carey Price, and you actually see kind of like the lie is almost on his heel almost, and that's more when the puck breaks and it goes through the perimeter area, so in a more high scoring area, because he's wider. Okay,
Mhm.
but the principles remain the same. Okay, is that his hands remain symmetric, and that's a big foundation to his game, and what makes him so athletic, because the tension he doesn't have to deal with allows him to make those athletic saves. So here he doesn't make a pretty save. It's nothing highlight reel. It's just what I liked about it was kind of caught him off guard, and all of a sudden he just has to bail himself out. And he's able to do that because he doesn't have really, high amounts of attention through his body. So as it goes, you'll see here, he makes a save and makes an athletic glove save. Okay. And
Mhm.
strictly because that pre-setup, that that foundation which he's using inside of his frame. We're going to start using that word a lot, frame, which is your hands, your body. Okay. The amount of tension is very, very minimal there. And this is something that a lot of goalies are going to be able to manage, and obviously put more and more emphasis into their structure and their frame, and it should be a focus. So here's a play where they're coming off the rush, okay, but you're going to see even through the situation here, you see his hands. His hands are symmetric, okay? You can put the leveler on there and they're going to remain the same again. Same thing here, and you can see his blade. This is still perimeter, okay? Like this is in just that fringe area of perimeter, and you can see his feet he still has perimeter feet, and what that allows him to do. And we're not going to get too specific into this because it's a whole other bag of tricks. But his feet here, because they're perim, they take a lot of that higher area of that netting. And that's all because of his framework. He has excellent feet right now. So his upper torso is taking a lot away from the lane of the puck right now. Okay, do you understand? So here you can see, obviously, his hands, we'll just stick to where we're going here. His hands are excellent. And this is just my freeze frame here. This is just before the shot. But boom, there it is in his frame, okay? And he's done all that work and simplified and kept the puck inside of his, what I call kind of like, inside of his radar. And it really just simplifies things. We're going to get into hopefully a little bit more discussion of it as we go. But we'll talk about why we work so much with our players on pucks through their frame, because just like how a kid goes on the ice in the morning and his goalie coach, first thing they do, or head coach, first thing they do is they start working on hands and trying to catch on a line and be calm. Well, why shouldn't you be working through your body as well, through your frame? Because it's a skill, and it's a skill that you need to spend time on. So
for sure.
Next clip. Okay, so I'm going to turn on the volume here. I'm not the greatest Mr. Techie, so just bear with me. So okay, I'm gonna play this, and I'll stop it in different areas. This is Jacob Ingham. He's a pick with the LA Kings, and Jake's been coming to our school for a few summers. We worked a lot on Jacob's frame, but we worked a lot on his feet, and there is a very big connection. So I don't want to get straight here about we're trying to make this simplified for the viewers, so that some kids can get the idea of how important that this framing stuff is, and with your hands, and why you want your hands symmetric. But a lot has to do with your feet as well. Hey, maybe that's the second version, the second episode in that. I'll set this up, all right, and we'll let it run. Okay, before I get into this right here, the hands are so important, because what I was just saying there, I was talking about a zone, and I was talking about, with our pro guys, we really work zones a lot, okay? But if you have symmetric hands, it's just like skiing. So wherever my hands go, that's where the tip of my skis are going to go. Do you know what I mean? So that's another example why this is so important. Okay, but I've got this this little freeze frame here up, because you can see Jacob right from his top, okay, from the top yellow arrow, you can see that his shoulders are square, okay? And then you'll be able to see through his elbow and his hands, it's square as well, okay? but his gloves are on a level. You know what I mean? And that allows him to be able to have that squareness, which he's trying to obtain. The other thing, though, is is that where he is right now with his framing. Okay, you can see the blue lines indicate it's kind of a bit of box control, so it's probably about half a foot. Okay, so he's putting himself in really good lanes, and he's going to be able to have really good foundations on that save selection should he need to make that save there. Okay, so that's one. But again, the key points here for me with this young audience is we want to be very adamant about having even hands. Okay, and I want to be very clear. I don't. When I'm teaching young kids, I don't really care if you're more aggressive with your hands or if you want to have your hands kind of on the lane where Jacob is, or on the line, sorry, where Jake are. I'm more concerned about, are they symmetric? Because if they're not, they will do things to your shoulders. Okay, they will make your shoulders turn. You know what I mean? And that's going to create tension ultimately. Okay, so we'll let it go. Okay, so here's just a little bit of a diagram from his vision down, from his shoulders. It's almost on a symmetric straight as well, and then right on his pants, you can see that's actually a hip indication right there for me. Is that you're able to see the way his back is on an angle. Okay, his framing right now is perfect. If his body was up on a straight, okay, he's not going to have nearly the control off of these rebounds. That should be very clear. Okay. It's really important, because then the puck is just going up. It's just bouncing. It's going wherever it wants to go. Because he's got the angle, which he does right now, he's able to, and that's why we want our guys to, I'm using the term snap down a lot, is snap, you want to become static. So there's no difference between static body and static feet. On a pass, I want to beat a pass. I want to become static, right? Because I want the advantage, okay? But there's no difference that on static body. I want to beat a play down. I want to seal a lane so that when the puck hits me, and especially at the pro level and the major junior level where Jake was playing at the time, okay, the velocity and the speed of the shot and how hard it is, okay, pucks are just going to stick to you, okay? If you're reading these plays properly and that you're sealing hard, okay, you're creating the advantage. Okay, so that's why we work on these little micro drills where all we're really working on is we're working on his frame. We want it to be big in one piece, but active. We want those hands to be reactive, right? And it has a lot to do with your shoulders. Has a lot to do with your elbows, so that you create that activeness inside of your hands. But then at the same time, you're also seeing where his back is, and you're creating that little bit of a cheat so that, you're going to get much more grace from your bounces, and hopefully the puck just sticks to you. And obviously a big part of that is a thing that we're always working with them is we're always talking, we don't want you guys having dead eyes. Okay, I'll get into that as we go. If I forget, remind me about the dead eyes. All right. Okay, so we'll let it go.
That's it. Yeah. Go again.
I think I'm too narrow.
You're too narrow, because that's why you're pushing away. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Do it again. There you go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But give yourself that little bit of time as well, though, to get set on the post too. I'll hold him. Do you know what I mean? I want you to get set on the post, and then again, that's why we're doing this, is for you to find the right footing so that your footing is perfect and you know your width. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because otherwise, when you're too narrow, yeah, you're bouncing off the post. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, you see where his eyes are right now? Okay? He's tracking tracking is tracking, guys. Okay, so just because it's a frame save, this is a skill. This is something that you need to work on. You need to be able to work on, yes, inside of the zone that we're working, there's a function that he needs to snap down and make the seal, but there is also a major function inside of your tracking, which you're working. And that's a very, very important piece of why these guys are able to control these rebounds inside of the frames the way they do. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Great work.
Okay, so I'm gonna come back just to our talk here for a sec here. There we go. So, you know, there's a lot there, but I think, you know, the big stuff, you know, for, you know, the younger players is obviously how you have your hands in a symmetric state. Should be something that you're very aware of. And it has a lot to do with rebounds and the way you're able to corral rebounds and all the while the way that you're tracking pucks and seeing pucks inside of your frame, just like how you're gonna see a puck inside of to make a blocker save or a glove save. There should be no difference. You know, it drives me wild when guys are in a reverse, you know what I mean, on a play and they have dead eyes, you know, and it just shows that, you know, that's when bad stuff happens, obviously. So
Right, for sure. Yes, so the framing, as you're talking about it and breaking it down, it's also helping goalies get their eyes over the puck a lot better as they're tracking.
yeah,
And then with regards to the dead eyes, it's that like kind of almost like a hope save, right? They're just kind of dropping in and they're just kind of in a spot where they hope they've got the right setup, like they haven't put all the pieces
yeah.
together in order to say, okay, this is the right setup, but you know, mechanically they're still able to make adjustments as the play develops.
Well, I think it's also just a loss of focus.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like inside of your game, right? And that's where again, bad things can happen. And that's a way of minimizing those things, you know, inside of your game is to put emphasis on, you know, those areas of tracking, whether it's from a dead zone in 2 or, you know, you're on a reverse and there's a guy jamming. Well, you know, tracking is tracking. I don't care if it's from 20 feet or it's in the slot or if it's a dead zone, you know, and that's to me, that's also just, you know, everything to do with consciousness, you know, of where you are and in the situation.
Okay, no, that's cool. So then also coming into it, I mean, this is why it's so important for young goalies to like essentially that first bit of practice, right? It's the setup. So it's your stance, it's the movements, it's getting into position, all these things kind of, I guess, in a domino effect, they're what's going to lead up to that save and save execution and also the rebound control, which is why so much emphasis should be put on, you know, the movement and how you're setting up for practice and the drills. So all that kind of muscle memory in essence, getting into position, setting your feet, setting your frame, and also getting your eyes over those pucks.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, at the end of the drill, you know, again, you know, Jake was beating plays on his feet. So he had static feet, you know what I mean? Where ultimately you have the advantage. But as well, there's also, you know, such thing as static body too. Is you know, on a release, if I seal properly and I'm more likely to get a more graceful bounce, or the puck is more likely to stick to me if I'm creating those seals properly. And that's a skill, that's a function, that's something that, you know, young guys should be focusing on when they're doing practice, you know, because you know, here, you know, in Lugano we you know, our analytic team, you know, like we've got a guy, Thibault, he does between myself and him, we're doing all the analytics, and we've created a whole new concept just on rebounds, basically, where we're really emphasizing kills. Whether it's, so a kill to me is off a rush, it's a 2-on-1, F1 takes a shot, and Nick or Sandra will make a save selection off their body.
Mm-hmm.
You don't give up a rebound, that's a kill.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we're focusing on all the different types of kills that they're making, whether it's a zone 2 play, it's a low funnel, Sandro gets it off his stick and the puck goes up into the netting. Well, that's a kill. You know what I mean? So these are things that are really, really big intangibles inside of the game. Mm-hmm. And they do so much for your team. Like it's I think that was the biggest thing I learned when I worked with Franzi in the summers, when I started going to Franjean when I was coaching in junior, was he was so adamant about a stick, and it was I never really worked on much of stick saves. Like I had gone to different goalie schools, and I never really it was never something that was just conscious, but to him it was he went through probably his first few seasons. I want to speak for him, but he just like us was working with an analytic team, and he saw if you're getting 1 or 2 or 3 different pucks up into the netting in a game, and you're saving that funnel, that's a huge play, because you could be taking away a goal a game just on those 2 or 3 situations. You know what I mean? Right. So these kills are really important. More specifically with the frame stuff, I don't want to get too off topic here, but with what we're talking about is these kills are important to your team, and it needs to be a function. It needs to be something that you focus on a lot, because you're likely to probably see 5-6 of these in a game maybe, and it's always that one maybe that just got away from you. Mm-hmm. When it's a skill, and it should be used all the time in practice where you can be working it for sure.
Very cool. Now, does their gear come into it at all, like with all the new technology coming into it? And then obviously, like Jacob was wearing the Bauer gear, and it's got a little bit more kick to it. Has that made any difference in how they approach framing or anything like that?
Well, I think in that situation, like obviously, framing's from the top, it's the torso. Mm-hmm. But in that situation there, the clip that we just showed, he's doing that snap function for a reason, because he wants to be narrow. Mm-hmm. Our guys want to be narrow in that situation. They're playing it from inside the post with their footing, and it's because they're working on that snap function so that they are narrow. And that, when the way the equipment is made these days, everything is more subject to go in the right areas if you're being narrow, because you're not always going to get it with your blade. You know what I mean? You're not always going to pick up. Sometimes the puck is that 2-3 inch off the ice, and it's just on that pad area. That's tough to get off your blade, and you really got to rely on some technology, right? So yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And that definitely, plays a factor into some of these systems that these guys are playing.
Okay. Very cool. That's awesome. Well, I want to sincerely thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule. I know it's a little hectic with the season happening over there for you guys. So
hold on. I do want to say to your audience first, Matt, that this guy, he introduced me, and it was very professional, but he didn't say that the two of us were in Madame Soucy's grade 6-7 split as kids, and I've known this guy probably my whole life. So yeah, he kind of skipped that part, but that's okay. That's fine.
It was no, it's been it's a privilege to be able to lean on you and pick your brain. So I really appreciate that, brother.
Thanks, bud. Thanks for having me.
We've known each other for a good while back in the day, back in Bowmanville there. So
yeah.
Maybe one of us has kind of made it out. The other one's working his way through. So I really appreciate your time today.
You're in the cold borough. right now. It's not pleasant weather right now, is it?
No, but it's uniquely Canadian, right? So
All right, bud. We'll stay warm. All right.
thanks, you too.